Now, in light of the recent news of Toys R Us closing down, one of the big questions is where the localized distribution of Masterpiece toys are going to be present, seeing as Toys R Us, at least up to this point, has been exclusively the carrier of Hasbro released Masterpiece toys from both the movie and G1 inspired things. Recent developments from Diamond Distributing. For people who don't know what Diamond Distributing is a catalog magazine that usually comic stores and pop culture stores receive, and they use it as their catalog in order to order product for their stores, whether it be comic books or merchandise or t-shirts, everything of geek culture. Diamond has been around for over 35 years, and it's always been the go-to for your comic book your local comic book shop when it comes to filling up their stores with product. So that being said, the latest copy of Diamond Distributing has a solicitation for them to be able to order a MP17 Plus Prowl, which is the recent anime accurate version of Masterpiece Prowl that's set to release this year in September in Japan from Takara. And what that is just it's the Masterpiece Prowl that we know already, with blue windows, the Amazon exclusive shoulder cannons now standard with the toy, and little paint applications. Cool. Yeah, little paint applications here and there essentially. So originally that was going to be a Takara Tommy Mall exclusive, which I mean, AKA just yet another hurdle you just have to go through still to be able to get it.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it wouldn't be too much of a difficulty. But now Diamond Distributing is showing that it's going to be getting what seems to be a Hasbro release. So that's really interesting because it kind of gives us an idea of where the Masterpiece line is going to continue to flourish in a post Toys R Us era for the United States at least. The one thing that's just interesting to me is, I mean, the price is $80 for them. Now, the Autobot cars in general, I mean, if you're not going somewhere too crazy with pricing, that's, marking up, usually these guys are $60 American. They usually don't go more beyond that. I know the Lamborghinis, the Datsuns, and the Lancias, which is like Wheeljack specifically. Exhaust was a special release, so he's a little more expensive. But they're usually, in that $60 range. So $80 is a little pricey, to the point that, I mean, and another thing too, this is Diamond Distributing, which is, yeah, hey, it's great that your comic book stores now could directly order these Masterpiece figures, but comic book stores have never been somewhere that has a set rule of what they could carry anyways. So this isn't something that, like, it's good news because it shows where Hasbro's going to now release their localized masterpieces. But that being said, it's not like your local comic book stores couldn't carry the Japanese ones anyways, where Toys R Us couldn't have. Toys R Us couldn't have Star Saber on the shelves, or
Yeah.
the recent Target Master Hot Rod or something. They could only carry what has been, greenlit for the American populace and tested and everything for that matter. So I mean, it's good news that there's this shows where the where the Hasbro side of Masterpiece is going to exist, but at the same time it doesn't really change much because the venues that it's showing up in, number one, comic book stores, which they're going to be picking this thing up for $80. They're probably going to mark it up themselves so they make a little more profit because it's a comic store. So it's going to be a little pricey to the point that
pretty penny.
To the point that I kind of feel I don't know if there's anything to really be excited about in this case from news-wise. Where I mean, I know one of my local comic shops carries anything Transformers that he just orders through his Japanese distributor, whether it be Gundam model kits or Transformer Legends brand. And I know even when United existed, which was what Combiner Wars was in Japan, he used to carry that stuff, and he had a Japanese distributor, and the prices were pretty fair. So he uses Diamond Distributing for other stuff. He uses it for picking up comic book pull bin stuff, and once in a while, if there's an oddball item that they'll have in there, he'll pick it up through them. But in general, he has his own sources. So this isn't super big news, but at the same time, for anyone that's a Masterpiece collector, they already kind of have their own sources to get Masterpiece toys, whether it be Ami Ami or Robot Kingdom or TF Source or Big Bad Toy Store. Everyone has their own way to go about it.
Yeah.
So all that leaves is, well, for the people that don't have credit cards and PayPal and eBay and all of that, so they have to rely on local retail. Well, now you're going to have to rely on local comic book store because they're the ones that are going to carry it. A lot of people don't have a local comic book store in the smaller towns. And the sad thing is if the comic book store is picking it up at $80 a piece, what's the markup? That's a lot. Again, that Datsun is not $80. That is not an $80. That's a $60 toy. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that. It was a piece of news that just popped up like just in the past 24 hours, and I just wanted to kind of address that, where it's good that it shows where Hasbro is going to keep that label, but at the same time, it's not exactly the best. I know that all of the Hasbro releases thus far of the Masterpiece stuff, not counting the movie stuff, but specifically the G1 related stuff, all the Hasbro releases thus far, with the exception of, I think, Soundwave, have been I think like you just get the Japanese version. I think the Japanese version in most cases was always the superior one. I think, again, Soundwave being maybe the only one that's kind of on par, if not a little better.
I don't know. I didn't mind MP10 and the first Skywarp.
Yeah, no,
personally.
You're right. You are right. The MP10 was pretty on par also.
Yeah.
The Skywarp, that's more of a selected taste because we got better versions down the line. So I mean,
did they do an American version 2 of Skywarp? I don't think so.
Yeah, it was a Walmart exclusive, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
I believe it was.
Because I know the first one I got was the Walmart exclusive, and I got that for $40. I mean, the price was right on that.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, there once was a time, and that one, that specifically that Skywarp that you got, that's when Masterpiece was under that like Universe 2.0 label almost. It had that kind of packaging.
That's true.
So like that's when Masterpiece really didn't have a footing anywhere, and then it kind of, with Soundwave specifically, became like a Toys R Us exclusive thing. And I remember it kind of made its debut with Acid Storm at the Toys R Us in Times Square, and well, we know what happened to that too. So it just gives you an idea of how long ago that was. So it's I don't know. Me personally, I think that we all, all us like hardcore fans, we all kind of already have our places that we go to get Masterpiece toys, and unless it's something that's very specific from the American side of things, we usually just go with the Japanese one, and it's usually the cheapest route. Like I said, except for that Soundwave, I think that only that American Soundwave really was, there was, it was more or less the price was right, and you got all your cassettes in one shot instead of having to buy them individually. But otherwise, I don't know. Again, and even this Anime Prowl, I'm pretty sure at TFCon and future conventions coming up, there's going to be plenty of them to go around, and I'm pretty sure the most you will be paying anyways is $80 cash. So I don't know. I would be patient. I would do a little more research before pulling the trigger and or getting excited about getting Masterpieces through Diamond Distributing. That's just my 2 cents on that.